This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
They have a lot of our equipment, and they have a lot of great soldiers.
I've been 21 years, and I've never seen a beef that didn't have. So this is super dangerous.
Whether it's Schumer, Gillibrand, and other leadership, he's a dead man walking.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Iran, Trump, the U.S. and NATO. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Ours is a complicated world, and with NATO members meeting in Turkey, things got more complicated in one of the most complex spots today. Several cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz struck by Iranian missiles, jeopardizing the shaky peace there under a memorandum of understanding signed less than 3 weeks ago. One of the tankers struck was from Qatar.
That tanker was defying the Iranian order to follow their route instead of traveling the Omani route backed by the United States. A warning went out over the radio. It was ignored, and the tanker was hit by an unidentified projectile.
Fox's Mike Tobin. The new attacks prompting the U.S. Treasury Department to rescind a temporary order allowing Iranian oil sales. No direct comment on those attacks yet from President Trump from that NATO meeting in Turkey, where he's been heaping praise upon the Turkish military.
They have a lot of our equipment, and they have a lot of great soldiers. They're really somebody to be reckoned with.
Trump says he plans to roll back U.S. sanctions against Turkey implemented during his own first term. That could allow them to buy state-of-the-art U.S. F-35 fighter jets. Mayhem in Manhattan.
I've been 21 years, and I've never seen a beef that didn't have. So this is super dangerous.
A construction worker from a renovation project apparently gone very wrong. Bricks started tumbling off of a 40-story high-rise this morning. Then some support beams buckled. Experts say it's possible that building will suffer a partial, even total collapse. New York's mayor.
Arriving on scene, we have witnessed additional movement in one of the compromised columns. DOB engineers have been investigating with FDNY drones. This is an extremely serious situation.
This staff member was evacuated from a nearby hotel.
They just told us to have our staff evacuated and for the people in the building to evacuate for safety precautions. I was worried, really worried for my staff and for everybody that was in the building because we had a full house.
Reporters at the scene say several floors in the middle of the building are sagging and the entire structure appears to be leaning. More back and forth from the prosecution and defense on the second day of an evidentiary hearing in the Charlie Kirk assassination case. Here, Tyler Robinson defense attorney Catherine Nestor questioning Agent David Hull.
Isn't it fair to say, as of the moment that Tyler Robinson voluntarily surrendered to authorities in Washington County, as of that moment, you all did not know who the shooter was. Is that right?
We had identified a person of interest, but we did not specifically know who the shooter was.
Hull told the court that Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk in Utah, had interacted with members of Turning Point USA just hours before Kirk was killed. Top Democrats calling for Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner to drop out of the race following another sexual assault allegation made against him. Politico reporting a woman who dated Plattner accused him of forcing himself on her almost 5 years ago. Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman tells Fox.
As far as I know, whether it's Schumer, Gillibrand, and other leadership in the DS and other people have all called him had to go. He's a dead man walking.
Both of New York's senators have joined the chorus against Plattner, telling him to immediately pull out of that race. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell's condition still unknown following his hospitalization last month. Reports say the former Senate Majority Leader was found unconscious at his Washington, D.C. home in June after a possible heart attack. Multiple outlets cited emergency services audio from that day. A flash flood threat still looming over millions across parts of the Mid-Atlantic and New England today. Heavy downpours in the Northeast yesterday. In Ocean Township, New Jersey, that heavy rain caused the roof of a BJ's wholesale club to collapse. Customer Ken Collado was inside.
I turned to my right and I see the roof on the ground and people started screaming. It was just pandemonium.
Thankfully, no injuries reported there. Well, Pennsylvania's had its power outages, so has Cuba. The entire island's power grid apparently collapsing again. Cuba expert Dr. Andy Gomez says Cuba's trying to blame U.S. oil blockades, but that's not really the problem so much as the dilapidated infrastructure.
This has got nothing to do with the United States. I mean, they claim it's the lack of oil. I say that putting oil on these plants is getting to the point that it's dangerous. I'm told they're actually making candles in part of Cuba. So they gone back now to the Middle Ages. Go to Google Earth at night, Cuba's dark.
This marks the third blackout on the communist island nation in 6 months. At last report, power had been restored to about 30% of Havana, including some medical centers and water distribution plants. Still to come here on the 5 o'clock report, we'll have a recap for you of our top regional stories. And we'll hear from Focus on the Family's Director of Sanctity of Human Life, Daniel Pritzer, on the current state of the pro-life battle. First, here's weather with Kevin.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, the stage is set for some pleasant weather overall, at least in the short term. High pressure will bring mainly fair skies tonight and tomorrow. The next front arrives later in the week with some showers and thunder. That'll be later Thursday into Friday. The front should clear the region in time, though, for a nice weekend for most, if not the entire region. Our call for tonight, an isolated evening shower thunderstorm across parts of central and eastern Pennsylvania and the eastern southern tier of New York. But otherwise, it's clear to partly cloudy tonight. Some patchy fog will form. Low temperatures in the 60s. Tomorrow, fair amount of sunshine and pleasantly warm with high temperatures within a few degrees of 80. Thursday, clouds, sun, couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms developing with high temperatures warm into the 80s.
Thank you, Kevin. Now checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Crews still working to fully restore power after severe weather this past weekend in PA. Lancaster, one of the hardest hit counties. Manheim Township Fire Chief Scott Little tells WHTM.
This storm that we saw Saturday night on July 4th is really a monumental storm with the amount of damage we have seen.
At last check, still about 30,000 customers in the dark across PA. MedEd says it hopes to have its customers back online before the night is out. Pennsylvania's Attorney General filing criminal charges in the death of a Bucknell University football recruit following an alleged hazing incident. We get the story from Family Life's Brian Query.
Former Bucknell strength and conditioning coach Mark Kolbus has been charged with aggravated hazing and related offenses in the 2024 death of freshman Calvin C.J. Dickey Jr. Prosecutors say Dickey, who had sickle cell trait, was forced to perform intense workouts despite Kolbus knowing of his medical condition and reviewing NCAA hazing prevention training. Dickey collapsed during practice and died 2 days later. Kolbus surrendered to authorities Monday and was released on $10,000 unsecured bail. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Brian. To New York State, St. Gobain Ceramics and Plastic is laying off 79 employees in the Chautauqua County village of Falconer. The company says the layoffs are due to the ending of manufacturing of its alumina zirconia silica products line in August. The related layoffs will begin September 1st. The company recently canceled a $41 million expansion in Wheatfield. That's in Niagara County, New York. A collegiate summer baseball team is living out their faith on the diamond. They're the Rochester Ridgemen, and they have a mission that goes well beyond baseball. The team's focus is faith and fellowship, and it says so right on the front of their website. Pitcher Antonio Mahisa.
That's honestly what really interested me the most, being a Ridgeman, and the chapel specifically, really changing our mindset to beyond baseball.
We do the triple H's, which is a hero, a hardship, and a highlight in your life. It kind of just gets you to know others and kind of like what they've been through in their experiences with Christ. Like for a lot of guys, a highlight was finding Jesus.
First baseman and outfielder Jake Gunning. Pitcher Eli Walker tells WHEC.
I think one of the cool things we do is we always pray as a team before the game, and then after, if the opposing team wants to pray with us, we'll pray. It's just something cool, way to give God the glory in a game.
Assistant coach Preston Tabor says the team uses baseball to support each other through the ups and downs of life.
They're getting to talk about not just the game, but their faith and growing with each other and fellowship in those different ways. It's really cool, and it's definitely an exciting part that you don't get to see in a lot of other areas.
I idolized baseball in the past, and it would hurt. I'd go days where a bad outing or bad appearance would just eat away, but ever since I gave my life to Christ, I've realized it's more than that, and not one struggle will define me as a human being.
We've been saying that, no, there is a means to an end with baseball, but with Jesus, there is no mean to an end. Like, he's always going to be there, but the game, it's always going to go away at some point.
If you want to check him out, the Ridgeman's next home game is tomorrow at 5 p.m. at Bishop Kearney High School. Up next, highlights from today's special noon feature. Our Sarah Harnish speaks with Focus on the Family's Director of Sanctity of Human Life, Danielle Pritzer. We just passed the 4th anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, shifting the power of abortion regulation back to the states. But despite that major victory, there were still over 1 million abortions in the U.S. last year.
The abortion pill is what is making this rate so high. The, quote, easy access to it. And then also women think that this is something they can do in the privacy of their home, which is also true, but they don't understand the full ramifications and the health risks that this abortion pill is bringing.
How easy is it to get an abortion pill in the mail?
Unfortunately, it is way too easy. We are starting to see stories of men who didn't want their girlfriend to be pregnant, and they are getting access to the pills. They're giving fake name. They're using a credit card that isn't tied to their name. Just about anybody in almost any circumstance can get an abortion pill without proving that they're a woman or even how far along they are in their pregnancy.
Alliance Defending Freedom got so close to having the mail-order abortion pill mifepristone put on hold, and then the U.S. Supreme Court decided that it would continue to be mailed while the case plays out. How does mifepristone make abortion access easier?
Yes, and that was such a disappointing loss. I was hoping that the Supreme Court would see the logic of not having to go through the mail. But yes, mifepristone stops the pregnancy, stops the nutrition going to the baby, and so it makes it very easy to have the abortion. And easy, I mean easy access. I don't mean easy for the woman or, of course, easy for the baby.
What are some of the things that you've seen with women that have taken mifepristone?
There was a report that was done, and what was so fascinating about it, it wasn't just people and their opinion, it was looking at results from claims through insurance. So it was very unbiased. 11% of women who took the abortion pill had an experience with sepsis, infection, hemorrhaging, or other serious adverse events that required an emergency visit to the hospital. That is huge. What they're saying is as safe as a Tylenol is definitely not at all like a Tylenol. It is resulting in women hemorrhaging, having extreme pain, and needing to go to the hospital, and some women dying, which is, of course, what we don't want to happen.
What are ways that pro-lifers can get involved?
I think, there's always multiple ways to get involved, and I think how the Lord has gifted you is a great way to start. But two very easy accesses are get onto social media. Focus on the Family does have an I Am Pro-Life social media account, and just sharing the good news that there are options, that women don't have to choose abortion, that we love women and we love babies. And then, of course, find your local pregnancy center and get involved, volunteer there. There's so many good things that pregnancy centers are doing.
What is Focus on the Family doing in the fight for life? What's your battle plan for the next 12 months?
Pregnancy centers are really the boots on the ground, and so we love partnering with them and helping them with resources and education. As you know, we have the option ultrasound program that's been running for over 20 years, and we're so excited that we've contributed over 634 machines to centers. But it doesn't end there. There's so much more to it. There's nurses training. There's also extended hours for the center to be open. And so there's lots of creative ways that we're trying to also come alongside pregnancy centers and empower them. So in their community where women need them most, they're making a difference.
Our Sarah Harnish with Focus on the Family's Director of Sanctity of Human Life, Danielle Pitzer, on the state of the pro-life fight 4 years into a post-Roe v. Wade world. You can hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
An increase in income can be a blessing, but it can also become a test. Hi, I'm Rob West with a Faith and Finance Minute. Psalm 62:10 says, "If riches increase, set not your heart on them." That's a needed word for seasons of blessing. A raise, a growing portfolio, or a stronger savings account can all be received with gratitude, but they can also slowly become the place we look for peace, safety, and control. The danger isn't having more. The danger is trusting more in what we have. Wealth may increase, but it must never become our refuge. So here's a question worth asking. As my finances grow stronger, is my dependence on God growing deeper? Let every increase become an invitation to trust the giver more than the gift. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Finally at 5, Avery Woolery of Lexington, Kentucky is a man of action and compassion. He rescued a drowning man at the bottom of an apartment complex swimming pool last week. Listen to the wisdom of this 11-year-old hero.
Someone's got to do something. No one was doing anything, so I put on my goggles. I went underwater. I grabbed him up, and I just felt really bad because there is no way that I was going to let another man die today. He's a human being. He should be treated as such.
Pretty impressive young man whose dad tells WLEX,
I'm proud of him. Somebody, when I was walking up here, somebody said, thank you taught him how to swim.
Indeed. Avery's rescue also highlights an important point. The victim who was hospitalized had apparently been swimming alone, something Caitlin Ellis with the local Y says every swimmer should avoid. They should have a designated water watcher.
Incidents can occur. We can slip underwater. You can hit your head. You can have a medical emergency and go underwater, even the strongest swimmer. So make sure that we have a designated person to stay responsible and you're putting yourself in a safe place at all times.
Good advice. In camp, we called it the buddy system. And that's the world we live in for Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.